Day in the life of a recruiter, always trying to manage expectations. So our third and final topic, based on this of tapping into XYZ, is really what happens next. What will happen in the future? And I'll make some predictions here. I really don't think COVID has helped the situation of the workforce. We all know that. COVID's caused a massive disruption. Burnout is at an all-time high. And there's a great reshuffling going on right now. You know, more than a resignation, it's actually a reshuffle. People are quitting, yes, but they're not all leaving the workforce, right? They're leaving the jobs that they had for better opportunities. So it's not that so many people are completely unemployed. No, they're shuffling around. Either they might even physically be shuffling around. They're going from here to California, to Texas, to North Carolina, wherever. People from New York and California are coming here. My God, our housing prices are skyrocketing. So a lot of this will continue. It will continue until things finally settle down, maybe a year or two from now, when COVID is hopefully completely gone. We'll see what happens. The most devastating thing probably has been on women in the workforce. Over 2 million women left. We're not talking about shuffling, we're talking about just leaving the workforce in 2020. 2 million women. And to put that into perspective, there's about as many women in the workforce now as there were in 1988. I'll say that again. There's about as many women in the workforce now as there were in 1988. All of that progress, all of the women's rights and the suffrage movement and employment movement and equal rights and equal pay movement wiped in just a couple of years. So that's huge. And so bringing women back into the workforce may present as a very big challenge to you all. And that's something to definitely consider, is what will it take to bring women back into the workforce? A lot of it may be some kind of child care program, child care assistance financially. My God, child keeping is very expensive these days. Daycare is so expensive. Just something to keep in mind. So over here, you'll see a couple icons. That first icon with the building, the commercial building in the house, represents our changing workspace. And that's really due to the fact that we're going more remote now. We're doing more of a hybrid model now, or at least that's what the workforce wants. Some kind of hybrid or remote work environment will be a top priority. I don't see this trend ending anytime soon. I really don't. You can try to bring us back to the office. We will resist. It's just one of those things. We've gotten too used to it. And so even when we say some kind of flexibility, I have a calendar that, we'll skip ahead a couple. The calendar represents maybe a shorter work hour, work week. Some type of adjustment might need to be made there. The 4-day work week is starting to get very popular, gaining a lot of traction. And I say 4-day work week and a lot of employers laugh. And no. I don't mean that the business should only be open 4 days a week. Really think about this for a second. Stay with me for a minute. Having a 4-day work week would mean, yes, some staff would work longer, so 10 hours compared to the regular 8 hours, but that doesn't mean your business is open only 4 days, because not everyone will want to work 10-hour shifts, right? You're still gonna have people who want to do their 8 hours and they're out. So they will be working 5 days. But for those that want to do the longer 10-hour shifts, well, now you're at an advantage. Why are you at an advantage? This is the advantage. Your business, maybe typically, the typical standard business schedule is what, 8 to 5, 9 to 5? Now your business is open 8 to 8, 9 to 7, 9 to 6, whatever the case may be. You have extended hours. Extended hours means more access to more customers. More access to more customers may mean more income, more revenue, more customer satisfaction, the list goes on, right? Especially for workforce professionals, we go from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 every day. When we get home, we can't do anything else. We can't make doctor's appointments, we can't make dentist appointments, whatever the case is. We go right to our kids or right to our families, and that's the end of it. But now with these extended service hours, we may be able to take more advantage of our day. So when I talk about 4-day work week, I really see it as a win-win. I'm not sure. That's the way I look at it. So if that's open to you, if that's a possibility to you, it might be worth exploring. It's very popular with the young generations coming up now. They much rather work 10-hour days than 5 and 8-hour days. And because of all that, you see the icon, Fight the Power. We've heard a lot of talk lately about unionization. Depending on how you feel about unions and the labor movement, it's happening. It's gaining traction. And I don't see that stopping. We talked about the wealth gap. If that continues, if those trends continue, you're going to see a labor movement come back, because this is not sustainable for the future generations. The wealth gap is just getting larger and larger, and it's really going to come down to those who have and those who have not. And we're already seeing it. Who just tried to unionize the other day? Amazon, Starbucks, what was the other one? John Deere, Kellogg. I mean, all of these big companies are starting to see it come up more and more and more and more. Just something to be aware of. The green icons are renewable energy. It's going to be a huge sector going forward. And then, of course, your gears, automation. I want to talk about automation here really quickly. Have any of you been to a completely automated McDonald's? Anybody? They have one in Palm Beach County. In this McDonald's, you're ordering at the drive-thru completely automated. There's no person taking your order. It's all artificial intelligence. If you go inside, there may be a few people working in the kitchen, that's about it. You go inside, there's a big old electronic kiosk, kind of like the size of that banner. You go in, you touch, put in your order, put in your toppings, whatever you need. You pay at the kiosk, it gives you a ticket, and you wait for the food to be served to you. That's like 5 or 6 jobs we just eliminated at a McDonald's? Wow. So if that's the future, and if that's automation, then we need to get ahead of the curve. How do you get ahead of the curve? All of the technology we just replaced the human beings now need human beings to service those technologies, right? What do I mean by that? If you have an artificial AI system, that means someone had to code that software engineers, coders, web developers, whatever the case is. If you have robotic machines taking place of workplace people on the assembly line, they need people now to maintain those robots and those machines. So get ahead of the curve. Train your work staff to take control of the technology that is going to invade. It's just one of those things. It's a thing. It's inevitable at this point. You just have to get ahead of it. It's been a crazy couple of years, guys. We forget what time really feels like to us. Time goes by so fast. And I bet, if I can have your attention for just a few minutes, you've probably already forgotten half of what happened just last year.
More than 2 billion COVID-19 vaccines administered worldwide.
Halfway vaccinated.
I'm getting Moderna.
J&J vaccine.
As millions get vaccinated, many reunions are happening around the country.
It's been a very long time and so much life has happened.
You know, the best night we've had for a very long time.
We've all been through something collectively.
It's been such a difficult time.
And it's even harder pretending like everything's normal when it's not.
As the so-called Great Resignation picked up speed.
They just didn't care about me anymore.
There's not a shortage of jobs, there is a shortage of decent jobs.
The shortage of products has extended to just about everything.
Big shortage of lumber, shortage of snowboat, and a shortage of microchips.
Look at those bones.
Can you not, please?
The growing backlog supply chain.
The giant container ship wedged from bank to bank.
Guys on Reddit get rich off GameStop while bankrupting a bunch of hedge funds.
It's been a fun ride with GameStop. Two things I'm not a cat.
It just shows how much power the rich people have.
What is an NFT?
Sold for nearly $70 million. Literally sending Dogecoin to the moon.
Anyone with enough money can become an astronaut.
We need some of the world's greatest brains fixed on trying to repair this planet, not trying to find the next place to go live.
The report is very clear. We expect to see new extremes that are unprecedented in magnitude, timing, or in regions that have never encountered those types
political chaos since junta-led military coup ousted the elected government.
Farmers in India are marking a year since they began the biggest protest in the country's modern history.
The deadly conflict between Israeli forces and Palestinians continues.
The
government of Ethiopia has been locked in a year-long war with the Tigray People's Liberation Front.
The sudden wave of thousands of migrants has sparked a humanitarian crisis at the US-Mexico border.
How can you do that to human being, to other human beings?
It's time for American troops to come home.
It's
a very, very busy situation right now.
broke the glass in the United States Capitol, and now they are climbing through the window.
The world is watching in horror.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
These people coordinated on open parts of the internet, on Instagram, on Facebook.
These platforms are not merely mirroring humanity. They're making all of us our worst selves.
I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
People really underestimate the power of misinformation. People have had these shots and now they're magnetized.
This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
People haven't related to it. You see the figures, daily figures, and their nameless faces.
India is being ravaged by a second wave.
COVID-19 is threatening to overwhelm the country's health systems.
We don't have anything, and patients are dying.
Vaccine inequality cannot be allowed to continue.
Omicron is spreading at a rate we have not seen with any previous variant.
The more this virus spreads, the more likely it is for a very dangerous variant to emerge.
We're in this together, and the only way we're going to conquer this virus is by working together.
They agreed to share the gold medal.
Just because you're a female, it doesn't mean you can't accomplish the biggest of goals.
The Philippines' first ever Olympic gold medal.
Put your mental health first. It doesn't matter if you're on the biggest stage. That's more important than any other medal you could win.
There's so many people who are afraid to voice that they need help.
To truly choose to love is heroic. Chile's Congress has passed a bill allowing same-sex couples to marry.
Britney Spears is free.
How did any of these police ever go to prison?
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
With the Asian American community, enough is enough. We're just fed up.
What I really hope that this movie can do is show Asian kids that it's okay to take up space where they are because they belong.
I know where I'm headed in life. I know what my future is going to look like.
When something says Taylor's version, that means I own it.
Rock and roll never dies!
There are people who don't believe that women can be better presidents, and we are here to show them.
Taking its first steps in pursuit of cosmological discovery.
We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us?
How many of you have already forgotten half of what happened last year? That was just 2021. Crazy, crazy. So much has happened. There's one key factor, and the young lady just says it in the end there. She says, we used to think, how can human beings overcome such catastrophe? And then she says, well, really the question should be, how can catastrophe overcome human beings? And I want to focus on that real quick, because when we work together, when it happens here, when human beings work together, we are a force to be reckoned with. We really are. Guys, we put men on the moon, we created vaccines in about a year. I mean, human beings do some very, very extraordinary things. And so when we talk about generational synergy, when we talk about working together, and all these stereotypes that come up about baby boomers and millennials and Gen Z, if you can just remember that at the core of every generation is a human being just doing the best that they can for themselves and their loved ones. Behind every boomer is a human being. Behind every Gen X is a human being. Behind every millennial and Gen Z, we are human beings. Together, I believe, we can overcome the greatest catastrophes. Daytona Beach, thank you so much.